welcome to an algebra tutorial video working our way through linear equations. In this video, we're going to look more at point-slope form. We've got an equation there in point-slope form, and we're going to talk about, well, how can we graph it? How can we use it? We have an equation, so what can I do with it? So let's talk about what we got here. We got y plus 1 is equal to 2/3 times x plus 4. So if we can recognize we're in point-slope form, then we can figure out what our point and what our slope is that we're given. So my slope is whatever value is in front here. So my slope, I can tell from this equation, is 2/3. Now, I'm also given some information in terms of adding and subtracting things to x and y. And if I remember, point-slope form equation is always y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So we've already got the slope, so identifying my x1 and y1 values is just by comparing what do we have here. So I'm subtracting my y1, but I've got plus 1, so the change in sign means my y1 value is actually -1. For my x1 value here, we can see that we've got plus 4, which means that my x value is not just 4, but it changed the sign, so it's actually -4. So the point is going to go through -4, -1. I know my line is going to go through that point. I have enough to graph it right here. I can plot my point, -4. There's my x-axis, and there's my y-axis. So at -4, -1, 2, 3, 4, there's -4 value for x, and down 1, there's that point right there, -4, -1. My line in point-slope form has to go through that point. Now the slope is 2/3, which means it goes over 3 for x. There's a change of 3 in x. 1, 2, 3. And when that happens, there's an increase of 2 for y on top. So we can use our slope to find other points. Just kind of follow this consistent rate of change, over 3 up 2. There's our nice linear pattern that forms. I could even go to the left 3, and if I go in reverse that way, so left 3 for x means I have to decrease by 2 for y. When it's all said and done, we can make a nice line to show all the possible points contained by that equation. So there we go. Now if you don't like writing them out that way, you can also use your linear equation and substitute values in. So we have an equation. What if we make x as 0? So then I would have y plus 1 equals 2/3 times 0 plus 4. I'm putting 0 in for x, and I can solve for what y should be. So 2/3 distribute. Let's go 2/3 times 0 is 0. 2/3 times 4 is going to be 8/3. So y plus 1 equals 8/3. If I subtract 1 from both sides, we see that y is equal to, subtract 1 would be subtracting -3/3. So I could think of that as 8/3 minus 3/3 to get similar denominators, common denominators, which means that y should be 5/3. So that's finding another point. I could actually be more algebraic that way. So now we put in an x value of 0 into my point-slope form equation, solved for it, and we got a y value of 5/3. Had to do some fraction work there to be able to do some subtraction and solve for y. And we can see on here, 5/3, that's 1 and 2/3. Yeah, it matches up with my graph. We just found this point right there. When x is 0, y is 5/3. So we can find any points by using just the slope and the point that it goes through, or I could use it as an equation. I can put values in for x, I can make a table, solve for y, and generate other points. I just need to generate at least 2 points. 2 points is enough to be able to draw a line representing all the possible points for this equation.